Well, hello from the road. Jacked Up goes mobile for the first time ever. Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2024. Yours truly, Jack Hillgrove, right over here on near the playing surface at Chuck Noll Field at St. Vincent College in Latrobe. Couldn't come at you last week, unfortunately, with the way that the practice schedule was unfolding here at St. Vincent College in the schedule with the Steelers. We needed to avert our attention to the coverage that you're seeing on WTOV 9 and on WTOV9.com. But we're in a groove here at St. Vincent College, ladies and gents. So we're coming at you from a very beautiful Chuck Noll Field here in Latrobe. It didn't start out this way. Actually, the clouds and the sun are out. The sky is blue, and we're ready to roll here. It rained earlier, especially after lunch, after the practice concluded at 12:30 this afternoon. A big practice it was. The first one in pads for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All of last week, practice in jerseys and in helmets with the players in shorts and no pads. But the pants were on, the pads were on, and the players were going live, full contact, which brought a lot of new storylines, which brought a lot of new questions to the table from a media and from a fan's perspective. And some of them were answered today. The biggest one we'll start with was Russell Wilson. Now, last week, if you've been watching my reports, the biggest story from week one of Steelers training camp was Russell Wilson being sidelined for the first week because of what he and Mike Tomlin called calf tightness. Now, Wilson also told us that the calf tightness came in the physical test, the physical exam on day one after the players moved in and before they began practice. They participate in a conditioning run and a new physical exam with workouts and things of that nature on the field. It's all brand new this year. Marcel Pastor was the longtime strength and conditioning coach here with the Steelers, 20 plus years. He was let go. A new regime comes in, a new program comes in for strength and conditioning, and it brings a new strength and conditioning exam at the beginning of training camp where the players are going through a bunch of different stuff as opposed to just the normal conditioning run that we as the media and the players have been used to for the last several seasons. And reportedly, Wilson injured himself pushing a blocking sled during that physical run. Now, if you ask me, putting the objective reporter business aside, if you ask me, the number one question is why is the starting quarterback pushing a blocking sled in a strength and conditioning portion of their test? That answer we won't get, obviously. That's something that Mike Tomlin probably won't tell us. But it seems as though Wilson is good to go. And the injury was very minor. And Tomlin time and time again told us last week that it was all about not letting a minor injury turn into a major injury. So Wilson, out of extreme precautionary reasons, was held out of full participation all of last week. Towards the end of the week, he and Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, Wilson was telling us they got some private work in together, which is big and which is huge. You need that rapport. You need that chemistry built up with the presumed new first-string quarterback and the players on the offense. So Wilson was able to do that toward the end of last week. And, of course, this week in full participation almost for the most part as the pads come on today. Wilson participating a little bit in 11 on 11. Now, 7 shots, our favorite, at least one of my favorite drills that the team participates in. It's a best of 7, offense versus defense, got to score from the 2-yard line. And that's interesting when the pads are off. Yeah, I mean, they're running full plays. Most of them are pass plays because you don't want the running back to take the ball, right, and be able to run in when he's not allowed to be tackled when the players aren't wearing pads. So the pads go on today, 7 shots. Najee Harris gets a couple of carries, a couple of touchdowns, which was big to see. And obviously, the lineman against the offensive lineman against the defensive lineman, those live reps are worth noting as well during 7 shots. And we got to see a lot of that in the drill today. Again, Najee Harris, a couple of rushing touchdowns. Justin Fields was the first string quarterback during 7 shots. He got the first 3 reps. Kyle Allen, the presumed third-string quarterback for Pittsburgh this season, got the second 3 reps with the second team. And then the period was tied at 3, and this happened last week, and Mike Tomlin said he doesn't want the third team to go out there for the game-deciding rep because what those players eat for dinner is on the line in the result of that drill. The winning squad, whether it's offense or defense, gets steak and lobster for dinner that night. So they always want the first team to get back out there for the final rep. It happened today. What happened in that final rep? What we wanted to see out of Justin Fields. The ability to run, zone read, wide open towards the corner, walked in for a rushing touchdown. Offense wins 4-3. That was the fourth touchdown. Najee Harris, a pair of rushing touchdowns, and the other one for the offense, George Pickens, an unbelievable one junior, which was fantastic to see. Also today, backs on backers. One of the more anticipated drills, one of the more fun drills to watch when it comes to the media, when it comes to the as well. And as we roll along here, we tell you about backs on backers. It's basically running backs, fullbacks, tight ends going full speed against the linebackers. It's in an ability to just block, in an ability to try and sack the quarterback. It's the running back trying to stand him up. It's the linebackers trying to get around him and get to the quarterback for a sack. And we saw a lot of interesting matchups with the first drill as well. A couple of things stick out. Number one, Najee Harris standing up a Landon Roberts on both situations, both drills that those two went against each other in. Najee Harris, the winner in both of those. Jalen Warren stood out even more in my mind than Najee Harris in the backs on backers, going up against Patrick Queen, one of the best free agent signings the Steelers have had, in my opinion, in recent memory. Russell Wilson obviously falls into that category, but he's only signed for the right $1 million and change. Patrick Queen coming in on a 3-year, $40 million plus dollar deal. He's been great. He's told the media so far in training camp this year he wants to retire a Steeler. Chris Halleck from DK Pittsburgh's quote out of Patrick Queen that he wants to remain in Pittsburgh for the rest of his career. And we've seen it time and time again at inside linebacker with the Steelers, right? Ever since Ryan Shazier unfortunately had that career-ending injury. And side note about Ryan Shazier here at training camp, helping out with the linebackers, being some sort of like a volunteer coach almost. And it's been awesome to see. So Patrick Queen steps in. Patrick Queen's one heck of a middle linebacker. And as I was saying, the most impressive thing about Queen in his tenure as a Baltimore Raven, division rival, by the way, has been his availability. He has been on the field. He has rarely been injured. And that's something that the Steelers need. You know, we saw it with Ryan Shazier going down last year. Cole Holcomb and Landon Roberts, well, Cole Holcomb and Quan Alexander, I should say, both lost for the season. And Landon Roberts just battling back and playing through all kinds of injuries, especially towards the back half of the regular season. So income supposing to add a dynamic playmaking out of the middle linebackers position and also more availability, we hope, this season at the position. And Jalen Warren stood him up twice. In time, even taking him to the ground in backs on backers was phenomenal to see. As for Jalen Warren's stature, he's not a big guy, right? He's 5'10" and is smaller on the field, but standing up. Both Patrick Queen on both occasions in the backs on backers today and taking him to the ground in one of them. He's a brick wall back there. And that's something that this Steelers offense needs so much. The offensive line we anticipate to be better, right? With Broderick year 2, James Daniels and Isaac Seumalo, a great guard tandem, one of the best guard tandems in the NFL last year. And you add Troy Faltanu, the first-round choice of the Steelers this past year, at right tackle. The Mountaineer, Zach Frazier, expected to be the starter over the ball at center. And Mason McCormick, rookie out of South Dakota State, drafted in the 4th round. He's expected to be probably a starter eventually in his career with the Steelers. The line is supposed to be better. We expect them to take that leap. The other element to the pass protection game is the running backs being able to pass protect. Everything that I saw today in the first round of backs on backers indicates that Najee Harris and Jalen Warren can get the job done because no matter who the starting quarterback is, we expect it to be Russell Wilson. Took a lot of sacks last year. Justin Fields did too. They hold on to the ball for a lot longer than they should, and that could potentially be an issue from a quarterback standpoint. So for those guys to be able to be protected by the running back and pass protection, it's big-time stuff. Big time stuff indeed. Mike Tomlin, your typical Mike Tomlin this time of year doesn't want to paint things with a broad Tomlinism, doesn't want to jump to conclusions. It's still early on in the process, but also told us today this film is, quote, like gold. You get everything acclimated, the animation period last week, those guys going through everything. 5% speed, 50 to 75% speed, as much as they could without pads. Today, full speed, live reps in pads. Mike Tomlin calls the film gold. It's probably what he's doing right about now. If he's not down for an hour, he's looking through today's film because it's as realistic as football gets in this film here, and it will continue to do so leading up to the first preseason game against the Houston Texans on August 9th, a game that you'll be able to watch on WTOV 9. Also on WTOV 9, Fox 9, the night before the game, I believe it'll air 7:30 on August 8th, our Black and Gold training camp special, myself and Jamie Baker, breaking down everything that was off for the first 2 weeks of training camp. We're still here. We're here through the Friday Night Lights practice on Friday. One of my favorite things to cover as a member of the media. We're looking forward to that for sure. And also looking ahead to the season, looking ahead to the storylines. That'll all be in our Black special August 8th on Fox 9. I believe that's scheduled to air at 7:30 with myself and Jamie Baker. Stay with us. I mean, this is obviously an abbreviated episode of Jacked Up on remote location here as we show you around. Chuck Noll Field is behind me. This is the turf. They have to, weather permitting. Today, the weather at issue early on, they were able to stay on the grass, and Mike Tomlin said those situations. He welcomes situations where things might have to adapt, right? Like today, he told us that if the rain comes down, then ball protection and ball seeking from a defensive standpoint become more able to hold on to the football. Don't fumble it when the ball gets slick. So that was on the table today as well. And then a couple of things. Roman Wilson, the rookie wide receiver, goes down with an injury. This is something that potentially issue because we've talked time and time again in the offseason that the wide receivers could potentially be a problem, could potentially be an area of need. Brandon Ayuk's name has been thrown around there as a possible trade candidate. Mike Tomlin and sticking to their guns. We've talked to George Pickens about the receivers room, Calvin Austin, newcomer Van Jefferson. They're confident with what they have in the room. And I think a lot of that stems from Roman Wilson's ability to contribute as a rookie. Well, he goes down today. Ankle injury on taking a jet sweep, extending towards the pylon. Looked like he got that ankle either rolled up on or messed with in some capacity. He was able to walk off the field. If you saw a report out there that he was carted off, I wouldn't call it that. To me, when you see some carted injury, it's what happened to Quan Alexander for the Steelers last year, and that ended up being an Achilles, or somebody that has to be carted off because they physically can't walk off the field. Roman Wilson walked off the field, hobbled off, looked to be in some serious pain, don't get me wrong, off the field under his own power, and they're not going to make the guy walk up that field, if you can see it behind me, with a bum ankle. He was taken off on a golf cart, so he didn't have to walk back up the hill onto the locker room. Nonetheless, something that we're eyes on as training camp rolls along. Russell Wilson progressing to get back as well. In fourth-round draft choice, Russ also with an injury. Also, that happened last week. He was held out of today, the first day of pads. Not sure if he's expected to make the roster. I think Pat Fryermuth, Connor Hayward, Darnell Washington, and even veteran Michael Pruitt have pertinence and have priority over a guy like Rodney Williams. But nonetheless, it's a guy that's pushing those guys in the tight end room. So hopefully he can get back sooner rather than later as well. Other than that, we're going to keep you in the loop as far as everything goes college in Latrobe. My exclusive training camp reports airing on Fox 9 and WTOV 9 through the remainder of the week. You can watch them at 6 and 11 on WTOV 9, and you can watch them at 10 p.m. on Fox 9. Those are presented by WVU Medicine Wheeling Hospital. That'll pretty much wrap things up here with a very abbreviated but very necessary Jacked Up on the road Chuck Noll Field here at St. Vincent College in Latrobe. It became very beautiful out here. So I'm glad I was able to get out to guys about what's been going on here up at Steelers training camp. MLB trade deadline today as I record this at just after 4 o'clock. Nothing going on with the Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll talk about that next week on Jacked Up when we're back at the Digital Content Center inside Studio 9. I'm Jack Hillgrove saying good night and so long. Thanks for watching. Again, you can check us out on the WTOV 9 YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for my later Steel reports. Tonight at 11, 10 and 11, 10 on Fox 9, 11 on WTOV 9. And again, those are presented by WVU Medicine Wheeling Hospital. This has been Jacked Up. I'm Jack Hillgrove. We'll talk to you next week.